Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're counting, but I think Talon hit 1 out of 4 shots there, and that really hurts me as a military man to see that. I'm going to have to give him some pointers moving forward for the rest of the weekend. But we do have a second feature match for you all, and tell me who's in it and what decks are they playing, Mateo?
We're gonna have a Golgari Midrange mirror match.
Okay, let's go some
It's two slightly different builds though, but the reason why we brought up is, to be fair, is not because of Jeremiah Chatham, who's playing, I would say, fairly, like a typical version, but he does have Graveyard Trespassers and Preacher of the Schism alongside 4 Caustic Broncos. I would call this a fairly standard build of Golgari Midrange.
Literally standard.
Yeah, but his opponent is a well-known black-green deck lover and creator. Actually, I think the original creator of the rock deck, that's why we call black-green decks rock decks, is because of Sol Malka, who, of course, what is going to come and play with? Black-green, right? He's playing a very kind of a same style of deck, but his version has 4 Sentinel of the Nameless City, which his opponent Jeremiah is not playing. So I kind of want to see, the battle of the 3 drops and which one ends up winning this match.
Yeah, they're going to be really key in this matchup. So it is ready to go. So let's get straight down to it. We have the battle of the Golgari mid-range decks. There's another panoramic of the Hall. I want to go back to what you're talking about like why we called these the Rock. Is that not because Dwayne Johnson was secretly a Magic player that got won loads of trophies? No,
it's kind of like he was. Sol was known for playing like these kind of mid-range decks, and I think like in the even mid to late 90s, like some black-green decks were really popular. You had Birds of Paradise, you're like Spike Weavers and so on, but then it kind of developed into like a deck with also Duress. I think is a card that Sol has played many times in his lifetime.
I'm not happy about this. If you're the creator or one of the founders of the Rock deck, the Green Black synergies, and your Duresses are not the OGs, I've got a problem with this. So come on,
fair.
Instantly snapping that Liliana out. I believe it's the only target in the hand, writing down what is in there and just passing it back. What are these? We're both just going to get down to top decking as we fire off Duresses at each other, or is there any sort of real key cards in this match that will be able to swing it?
Yeah, I think Aklazad is pretty good. Like just being able to stick some really good threats and not get them killed. I think Gix Command also can be a really huge swing in this sort of matchup. But if there's anyone I trust to navigate, it's Sol. I already have Chad being like, hey, already the name actually does come from The Rock, the wrestler, because the Phyrexian Plague Lord, was a core part of the deck alongside Deranged Hermit. So it's like a small combo where you could really kind of shoot down his opponent's side of the board. So it was The Rock and his millions and millions of fans, right? So I apologize for putting Dwayne The Rock Johnson in the mud. But
how dare you? How dare you? That's the Scorpion King, my friend. Anyway, back to the match. Looks like we're just leaving up 3 mana. Don't have any plays. We both hands kind of known to each player here. And talk a bit to me about the Dread Knight and how much of a key role it can be in this. It's a really good way of not only applying pressure to the board, but also getting more cards in your hand.
I mean, Dread Knight's fine. It's outsized, I would say, fairly quickly, right? So it's just a 3/2. But in a way, like sometimes you really want them to die. It's better to have it than to not have it, just because it draws you something. There we go. Sol drew his own, and you want to also make your land drops as well. I think that's also really important, especially when you have cards like Aklazad's or Gix Command, or you want to animate your Restless Cottages as well. So I think Sol now having sent out an adventure, maybe thinking of, I think he has a lot more ways, maybe thinking if he wants to play it right away or play something else from his hand. So let's see.
Couple of options. Looks like we're going to fire off the Mount. Okay, so talk to me about the Bronco and like why are we kind of seeing this turn up a lot in these green-black symbols?
It's just, remember Dark Confidant? Of course you don't.
Bob. No. Come on.
You're a Magic Zoomer. Of course you don't remember Bob. But I was Dark Confidant is one of my favorite cards. I've played that card a lot on GPs and Pro Tours in my lifetime, and this is just a very similar reimagining of that card. It has Saddle though, so it can do some other stuff. Can make you not lose life, but of course you have to keep attacking. A Hostile Investigator can put an end to that, but I think Sol might have another Go for the Throat in his hand as well. So maybe he'll be able to kill the Investigator play the Dread Knight and even saddle the Bronco to not lose life there.
Investigate is a really good card, right? And it's already eaten one card. So it's basically you've got a 2-for-1 already, plus it generated as a clue. And the longer this game goes, the better. But now we're seeing the power of the Bronco / Dark Confidant. And yes, I do remember Dark Confidant because I remember paying more than I probably should have for those Dark Confidants back in the day when we used to see a little bit more play. We're going to play a land and pass. So both players hitting both other land drops every turn, as well as advancing to the board. So, with the 2 threats, slightly ahead here.
You won't let me get away. I won't let you get away with this one by changing the subject. When you said back in your day, was it during Ravnica Remastered Draft? That's how I imagine. That's where I imagine you play Dark Confidant. And sorry, I had to get a dig in just because you always call me a boomer. I have to call you a zoomer. So
it's fine. We work well together. That's why they get us in the booth. You see, as long as we don't start talking about our our scones and if it's jam and cream or cream and jam, because that's we've gone on about that for many hours. So back to the match, we're going to be playing the Knight 3-2 on the battlefield. Now we're going to play Pillage the Bog. We're seeing this turn up as a few one-offs. Why do we see these this as a one-off in these Golgari Midrange decks?
You want my honest opinion, or
yes.
Okay? My honest opinion is the fact that they're playing it because Reed played it at the Pro Tour. Okay, that's reason number one.
That's enough for me. That's enough. I'm fine with that. And realistically, I don't think there needs to be any more to that. That in itself is a solid answer, locked, sealed. No one's going to come back at you. If Reed does it and it's green, black, or red cards, then it's right. There's no question to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, but I'm not a huge fan of this card. Like the main deck is fairly tight on cards. Like, of course, it's probably at its better when you have a really powerful drops that you want to find later, like an Aclazotz. Speaking of which, right?
And Crew
or Gig's Command,
Mount,
Crew, Reveal Duress. So take one more.
I was playing 2-headed giant, and we had the Bronco in our deck. I think I was playing with Emma Parlo actually, and we attacked with this, flipped a 7-drop, and did 14 damage to our opponent and won the game. That's not relevant right now, but I just need to make sure people are aware that I did something cool with that Bronco once, as it looks like it's not going to be sticking around for much longer.
Yeah, of course. Now it's going to get traded with Mosswood Dread Knight. Remember, it's in the graveyard, but Jeremiah can still adventure it from there. But he's facing quite a bit of damage on the board. And Saul still has 2 cards in hand. One of them is a Duress, I think. So Jeremiah really...
command drawn.
Okay, nice. So I assume he's going to return 2 creatures and make Saul sacrifice the creature with the highest power, mana value.
Yeah, I believe it's power, but
power. It is power.
The back guard, it's very hard to get rid of. Right, it's why I'm almost like one of the best cards, if not the best card in this mirror match, because without exile effects, it's going to keep getting turned into a land. We're going to keep using our spells. Eventually, we'll be able to flip it. It hits the battlefield yet again, and then if it sticks on the battlefield, it can just generate more and more value moving forward. Which, at the end of the day, is what a Golgari mirror is.
Yeah, Saul winces a little bit here. I think he doesn't get to play all the cards that he wanted to play here. Also, never a good point where you draw Duress with your Bronco, but you're basically tapped out, so you can't play it, and then your opponent Gig's commands you.
Yeah,
it's kind of not a great situation. But he's still probably going to check out what Jeremiah is working with. We're going to see the Hostile Investigator, the Mosswood Dread Knight, and what else? Ooh. All creatures, Glissa, Graveyard Trespasser, and Hostile Investigator. That's a bit of a downside of this deck sometimes, right? That you can get so clogged in your 3-mana cards, and with the Dread Knights, you want to get value, so you end up paying 4 in total, right? And you don't have all the mana to play everything that you want, and especially when you're on the back foot, I imagine Soul can play the land. He's gonna play flip the Aclazotz back into play.
A lot more mana than that.
No, never mind. Gig's Command. Okay.
So it's going to be return 2 creatures to our hand, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, and it gains lifelink till end of turn.
Interesting. Very, very aggressive from Saul here. He could only return the Bronco, but I think he values the damage so much, that he puts the counters on the Mosswood Dread Knight. It makes it also like a bit more difficult to block, right? Just because it's a 5/4 trampler. Won't have lifelink after this turn still, but geez, like he doesn't have any cards in play. But next turn he also has the Restless Cottage as another big attacker. I think Jeremiah is down to 8 here. The Glissa is a great blocker though, and he knew
Glissa, I
about it.
told you that card is just so good, so much text on there for 3 mana, and you spoke about it before this match. Just it is battle of the free drops really in these Golgari matchups. Big draw step, 1 card in hand, so we can get the back guard back if we need to. Then get a good look at what's in hand. Is there any world where we might just like mount the mount here and turn it just to try and go another card deeper?
Yeah, he could try that. He also has that cottage. I think he's going to go for a frill back though. He's going to pay 1 to destroy the Cluedo, and then he's going to flip the Aclazars and I think pass the turn. Well, you keep talking about lots of text on Glissa Sunslayer. Yep. Ultimately, all I see is first strike, death touch, baby.
That's all you need. It's all you need. It's like you are not attacking into this. It is so good. Why does it have that first strike? It just, I like playing my creatures and like turning them sideways. This just stops everything in its tracks all day long. And we know Jeremiah's got a grip full of creatures, so let's see how we want to deploy him. A couple of free drops here would be ideal. But Back God, remember, is on the other side, and that is a key card, if not best, in the matchup.
Yeah, there's a Trespasser being played. I don't think there are any creatures in graveyard because both players have just used the Gix command to double raise that. So yeah, we're gonna get that Gix command out of there. Won't get any life for Jeremiah. Remember, I think the life totals again haven't been updated. I believe he's on 8. He is not adding to the board, leaving up 3 mana. If I'm in Soul Shoes, my alarm bells are going off.
One of my favorite things in Magic has just happened, and it's called tracking the day-night token on the battlefield.
Oh dear,
it is. It's a fun one. It's a fun one to do.
It's a mechanic.
It's on
Magic the Gathering. I agree with you there.
Graveyards, we've got exile zones, we've now got day-night. There's plot zones going around. We've got so much going on that we've got to keep track of here. But we're going to start off by firing up this 4/4. Does it mill? Is this the one I'm thinking of? Or no, it's the blue-black one.
No, it's the one that exiles a card and creates a food. So, but Go for the Throat has been telegraphed, I will say.
Nice Go for the Throat as well. I think that's the 40k one, I believe.
It is. Yeah, of course.
I'm a 40k player. I love my building my little models together, and I love every geeky sort of hobby there is. It turns out I do it.
For a second, when you were starting talking about day 9, I heard day 9. I was like, okay. Hey, has day 9 come into the chat or something? And then I was like, yeah, I get it. No, but look at that. Sol is still swinging, not afraid of that Glissa over there.
I think that's because of what you were saying, right? Like, as in the life totals, I don't think are updated at the minute. We think that Jeremiah is around 9-ish life.
I think 8. I think it's 8. Okay. I think it's 8. So that's, but still not a huge swing there, and Jeremiah is going to have some favorable blocks here. I'm guessing.
We'll get 3/3, 3/2, and a 3/3 with first strike and death touch going up against. Oh, hold on. Oh,
go for the throw. Nice. That was a good draw from Saul. I think that's why he was so keen on getting the attacks there, because suddenly this attack makes a lot more sense because the blocks are not favorable anymore.
Yeah, not. It also makes the why we did this attack, right? Why we kind of went all out. So we can get a few trades, but it's still not going to be good for us after damage.
These blocks are suddenly looking really, really poor for Jeremiah, because the Mosswood Dread Knight has trample, right? And it's a 5/4 already. You also want to get rid of the Bronco because it's going to get more cards, right? If you want to play that sort of game. And then the Restless Cottage is a 4/4, so you can't really block it profitably. And this is already a deck for 7. Yeah, it's a swing for 7 here. So you can't even afford to block the Bronco.
So if you were correct, and we were at 8 life, this is going to put us to 1 life after damage is done. Play a land for the turn. It's going to be one of the new Surveil lands. Love to see just in general. I think the Surveil lands are awesome. More powerful in other formats, but we like that card, so we're keeping it on top. Not what Jeremiah wants to see. Empty board. I'm having a look and see if we've got any more Gix's commands. Looks like we've got just the one in the main. So maybe we don't have a way of no, we're scooping up. We're gonna go to game number 2, Jeremiah says, as Soul takes us down the I'm gonna, after your hype, I'm gonna call him the Rock Master here, taking us down, coming into it.
He is.
Well, here is the 75 that he's bought this weekend. Now gonna be on the draw. What's good in the mirror match, and what do you like bringing in?
Mirror match. It can be pretty tough. I don't see that many things, so maybe a little extra Lilianas. They're quite good. Like can be quite good on turn 3 if you're answering a 3-drop of your opponent. Not that great against something like the Mosswood Dread Knight though. So not too thrilled. Hostile Investigator can be nice, but yeah, I don't see too many options from Saul here. So let's see what Jeremiah is working with.
Let's have a little look at what Jeremiah brought this weekend. Of course, it is open deck list, ladies and gentlemen, at the regional championships. So both players have access to each other's deck list, and this is where the mind games happen. You can see what your opponent, what you need to play around, what you don't need to play around, how are they going to sideboard against you, how do you counteract that? Can we get the other deck list on the screen, please, production?
Yeah, let's see what Jeremiah is working here with. I think I can pull up his deck list on my computer. It looks very similar. However, I do think that he has another Gix command that he can bring in. He also has Nissa, Ascendant Animus. He probably will bring in a Shieldred as well. So he has a few options. So yeah, let's see what he brings in. I think it's all in his matchup a lot of the times also about what you board out.
Well, let's just find out the hard way what he's got in the deck. On the play now, let's get down to match game number 2 in match number 2 for round number 2. So many twos there. We're firing off this Duress, and it's going to be taking Liliana Bell. She's not going to see play. You know what I mean? We were trying hard to get her on the battlefield, and she just cannot see it. I think it was just Spike that's able to get on the battlefield so far. Now, talk to me about this opening hand. 4 lands, 3 spells.
I mean, it's not great, but there's Glissa, there's Hostile Investigator, and there was also Liliana. I'm always kind of unsure about how valuable Duress can be here, right? Because it's such a bad card in the like mid to late game, but it can be really impactful early game, especially when one player maybe is trying to set up a Gix command board, or you can get rid of like a key removal spell in the early game, right? So I'm on the fence, and I haven't played a lot of the mirror matches because I never truly considered to play Golgari Midrange in the regional championship last week that we had. It's a solid deck, but even when we tuned the deck to be like very anti-control oriented, it still felt like it wasn't that great against control anyway. Like you had to work really hard to make the control matchups quite good.
All right, well, we went a Deathly Cap Glade, and that was the Surveil 1. We kept the card on top that we liked, and then the follow-up play on turn 2 is the Knight.
The Knight Hardcast, though, I want to point this out because it's. I think people that pick up this deck the first time, they always get kind of. Oh, I want to draw, right? You want to send it out on an adventure and draw a card, lose life. But sometimes, or a lot more often than not, I think you should play the Dread Knight, and you can see why, because there's a Liliana. This is going to free up Saul to actually play his Glissa on turn 3, by being with protection, or alternatively, he can also just play from the graveyard now, the Dread Knight, and try to milk the card advantage this way. Because if Jeremiah starts busting the Liliana, hey, Saul is the one with the Dread Knight, right? He can draw more cards, so
and that's
it
what
could favor him as well.
Lose life, draw a card. The card drawn was our own Liliana the Veil, but of course we used 2 mana up already. Do have a 3rd land drop available, depending on which one we want to use here, and it is just going to be the creature land, which we is it 4 mana to activate, so we're a little bit way off activating that, but very good in the face of a Liliana. Tale of Old Time, creature lands to being able to take out planeswalkers.
Exactly.
Now, what's a good follow-up play here? Battle of the 3 drops. We didn't, we saw Liliana come down on one side, but not for Soul. So, is this in Jeremiah's favor here, or is it just purely because we want to play as a, we're going to get a little bit more value, a little bit more deep here as the Investigator hits the battlefield and a clue token generated?
I think it's gonna might be a land. Okay, Cavern on Phyrexian, very nice. Blooming Marsh hits the bin. There's a clue for the Hostile Investigator. And now, Jeremiah is going to plus here.
And then this generates a second clue, remember, because the Investigator...
it only triggers once, so he wants...
Oh, is it once a turn?
Once a turn, yes.
Okay.
But it's for each player as well. So if your opponent has this card, for you, then you also get a clue,
So basically, an opposing Liliana tick up would mean that we both discard, which means that way would generate more clues. But I imagine if a Liliana was to come down here, it would just be eating that Investigator up. And that's Liliana is going to get cast and tick down and is going to eat up that Investigator, just as we were speaking about.
Yeah, as it was drawn up. But now Jeremiah has a bit of the on-the-play advantage with Restless Cottage. Right, he could find a way to attack if he has an untapped land, of course. He can attack the Liliana Of course, Sol could do the same. Another investigator, though.
So another clue token is going to get generated. One card less for Sol, and this is very mid-range sort of interactions right now. Just tacking our hands, tacking the battlefield, trying to get to that top decking situation. You want to be the last player with a threat on the battlefield when we go into this top decking battle. And opposing Liliana's on both sides means we probably don't have many cards left in our hand after this. We see a go for the throat and a duress. Duress is going to hit the bin here for Jeremiah. And pass the turn back. Sol going up to 2 cards in hand now. Would love something like what? Removal spell, lands, tick up Liliana maybe? Or on the other side, discard that go for the throat. Clue token generated. And land played. Then we tick up our own Liliana. No cards in hand for either players. I think the only slight advantage is there's 2 clues on one side opposed to the other.
Nice board. It's building up on both sides, right? They're mirroring each other so nicely here.
Doggo clue token. Top decking a shield dread in this position is awesome. Tick down on Liliana because of course we got to play it first. Edict effect. Get that investigator off the battlefield. Play is a shield dread. What a turn there by Jeremiah.
Yeah, brutal set of plays here from Jeremiah. Sol is really like under the gun, I would say, right? Like even he sacks a clue, he takes 2, and he spends like mana. Maybe something like a Geeks command could try to stem the bleeding, but it's already also Lily on the board. And remember, Jeremiah also has 2 clues of his own, so he can build up really nicely.
I was just about to say, clues normally in mid-range matchups are great. Okay, we can start turning burning for a deck. Not so great when your opponent has a shield dread on the other side of the battlefield. But we're digging. We're seeing what we can do. Okay.
So beside you, get rid of the cottage. Okay.
That's
it's okay.
Is it a discard though? Does a clue get generated because of it?
Yes. I think Jeremiah should get a clue token here as well, but he can miss a trigger, right?
Yep.
Also, a hostile investigator, I think, clearly says that it's for every discard basically, but only once a turn. So
looks like it might have been missed, but it's this happens. Paper magic, after all.
It says whenever 1 or more players.
So it's we do draw a card though, and we don't miss our shield dread trigger to gain an extra 2 life. Play a land, tick up a Liliana, and then go to combat where maybe we're definitely going to. I imagine we're in the combat step right now. It's just I think we're going to draw a clue first. Might have been a land.
Yeah, he upticked Liliana, but he didn't get the discard of the investigator. I figured that there could be a better way to sequence this.
Is there a reason, so if we attack with the investigator, there could be a trade here, and then obviously there's another card could get drawn once the knight dies. Is it better to attack with shield dread or both in this situation? What do you think?
This is a really tough spot as well. I mean, for either side, I can't really tell. It really depends on how they also sideboarded, what they brought in, what the game plan is going to be. But now, Jeremiah is turning on the screws here with the shield dread, exposing his Liliana a little bit after attacking with the shield dread.
We'll draw another knight for the turn, but we're going to start off by using the one that we basically need to use this turn. Go a card deeper. It's going to go on an adventure. We're going to lose another life.
Yeah, but found a go for the throat there.
That's huge. That is exactly what we need to get the shield dread off the battlefield, so we can start cracking our clues and start drawing potentially more. There's the go for throat. In the graveyard, you go shield dread. We're going to crack the clue in response. Gain our 2 life.
Yeah. He remembered. Jeremiah remembered. It's important to make sure you don't miss these small things, because even at the end of the day, the 2 life can really make a huge difference.
You don't want to die when you had the crackback on 2 life. You want to make sure you remember everything. I think a graveyard trespasser was drawn off that clue. That's not going to be a bad one in this matchup. Another card off the top, which I think we've got a land and a trespasser in hand. I can't make out the 3rd card, but we'll find out shortly. Trespasser. I guess we just eat a random creature in the graveyard.
Yeah, I think life totals also haven't been updated in a while as well.
2 land in hand, so we could play 1, tick up Liliana to get the other one out of our hand. More importantly, my favorite mechanic is back on the battlefield, day and night. as we pass the turn back. And didn't get a good look at what that was off the top. But what sort of cards do we need? What would be a great top deck here in the face of a Liliana and a Graveyard Trespasser?
Let's see.
Oh, we're getting frisky.
Interesting.
So there is a creature in the graveyard we can get rid of, but we're going to get rid of the Shield Dread. And then this, I love this. Is basically what do you value? Do you value Liliana or do you value the Graveyard Trespasser?
Yeah, Lilianas are can get into spots where they are not that good sometimes. Okay, we're going to Knight.
Yep, Knight, which means this flips. It's now going to be a 4/4 with double triggers. Can eat 2 cards from a graveyard, potentially gain and lose 2 life on either side. So we are going to start off with combat. Here comes the 2 triggers. If we exile 2 creatures, it'll be an extra 2 life lost for Soul, an extra 2 gain for Jeremiah, plus the 4 damage from once it connects. And then we can carry on with our turn. What did we draw? It was another Graveyard Trespasser, which again enters with Night side, so it's going to get another 2 triggers. Graveyard's getting completely eaten up here at this point.
Yeah, not too many creatures, though.
We might have one of ourselves. We might have an Investigator on our side. And... oh, maybe we've got double Investigator, actually. 1, 2. Yeah, so again, another 2 points. Nice. Another 2-point swing. Not quite a Lightning Helix, but it'll do. Yeah. It'll do in a top deck battle like this. We do have... Is that a food and a clue token? It is, isn't it? Because we attacked with the creature. So yes, we
there was an attack with the cottage. Yeah, there we see there we go. Life total is updated now. We had a bit of a latency issue there with life totals there.
Oh, Soul's at 1?
Yeah, Soul's at 1. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Well,
he's holding on, but
so pay 2 mana to play it, ideally without paying a point of life, playing the mount. But these Graveyard Trespassers are probably... oh, we can gain an extra couple of life, actually, I suppose. Yes, we go up to 4.
Still.
Not the best.
Yeah, Soul's firmly on the back foot here. But he did get to play 2 spells, so it's going to become day, right? So the Trespasser are down to 3/3s. Like, if Soul comes back from this one, I'll be very impressed.
Just saying, the ward on them is still discard 1 card on both sides of the card when it gets flipped. No creature lands, so we can't animate that to get across. We're just going to kind of force the trade / do we even have to chump here? Like, could we just go back down to 1 and trade with one of the others? Is that a viable option, or?
Let's see.
Looks like Soul's like that. I'm throwing them both in there. I'm going to keep my life total relatively high because at least we can still use the other side of the Knight and potentially go a card deeper if we need to, because our life totals are, I say, buffered. Got a little bit of a buffer.
I think that Soul maybe might have drawn a land, so he has to go down to 2 here with the Dread Knight.
Liliana. Is I don't know. So we're going to go Liliana, tick down. If you choose the wrong creature, and I've got a cut down, maybe, or is Soul the sort of player that's gonna, make you have it? Like, I'm gonna make you, even if I know I'm dead, you can tell I'm dead. I've got no cards in hand. I'm gonna make you finish this match.
Okay, and he still had the Death Cap Blade to play the Dread Knight, so he's holding on here.
Keeping the sneaky land in hand away from us. Okay, I got you. So we've got a blocker, but we've got the rips to go for the throw off the top. That's going to be the kill stone we need.
Good draw.
3 points of damage.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a game number 2. So we're going to a game number 3. I have Jeremiah's deck list on the screen for you all at home to have a look at. We saw some cards come in, obviously Shield Dread, I imagine, maybe a couple of extra Lilianas. But now that we're on the draw, do we mix anything up, or are you happy just to shuffle up and throw this back?
Yeah, I would think about like the dress, the inclusion of dress if you're on the play or on the draw. But I think Jeremiah's side was a little bit better than Soul's for this matchup. But these games can be so swingy anyway that it might ultimately not matter. So I just say let's just watch game 3.
All right. Well, look, I'm game then. Let's just go straight down to game 3. Let's see how this pans off in the Rock Mirror. as we're going to see Sol on the play. Having a look at that opening hands, I can see a bunch of lands and spells, which is going to be ideal.
Jeremiah's keeping in those duresses, and he really gets good value out of those here. Can choose between Go for the Throat and Liliana of the Veil. And there's 2 more lands, a Hostile Investigator, Glistening Slayer. Good, nice draw for Sol there, really on the curve, what you want to have. So would love something like a Moss with Dread Knight, right? Just to have a nice play, but goes for the Liliana Bell, which makes sense to me.
I see a Nissa in hand for Jeremiah. So I'm going to speak to you about that duress line. On the face up, it is just 1 mana, take a card out of the hand. But does taking the Liliana over the kill spell kind of signal anything that potentially could be in Jeremiah's hand? Are we thinking about the long game? Like, what's the reason for Liliana over the kill spell?
I think what he's worried about, that you can see Jeremiah has a tapped line now in turn 2. I think what he's worried about that if Sol plays a creature here, like the Glissa, and if he plays like a Glissa of his own or something else, like a different creature, like he can get Liliana, right? Like that Liliana could kill his creature. Like he would really fall back on the tempo.
Well, here comes another Liliana off the top. Jeremiah's not happy about that. Here comes the tick up. Both players going to discard.
And I really like this. Like Sol drew the Liliana, and he knew like, oh, so Jeremiah is actually discarding my Liliana. He's probably scared of it. Now you can see Jeremiah just saying, oh no, this is not good for me. And remember, Sol also has a Hostile Investigator. He can run down Jeremiah out of cards really quickly while generating the clues.
So the main reason for that, right, is there's not really too many clean answers for planeswalkers in these decks. You've got the long goodbye, but other than that, it's going to have to be dealt with combat damage. And combat damage when you've got no creatures on the battlefield already, and there's a Liliana. Liliana can just tick down and deal with that. But it looks like we're going to have opposing Lilianas here. Both players ticking up, just kind of tearing each other's hands to pieces.
You can see both players are kind of wincing at having to discard. He discards a Hostile Investigator. Wow. Now let's see. I think what Sol wants to force Jeremiah to a minus Liliana to kill something, so that his Liliana is going to go up, maybe threaten ultimate a bit earlier here. You can see both players are really low on cards now.
Nissa and a Glistener going to the graveyard.
A Preacher.
Preacher's a great free drop to end the battlefield. Only generate it's 1 map token though, not just at the moment. Of course, on combat we'll generate more if we get to combat, but Liliana on the other side might have some say. But then there's a go for. Do you like fire off, go for a throw, and take up your Liliana again?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're going to lose cards every hand anyway, so it makes sense to just go for the throw on Preacher plus Liliana. But the ultimate, like, how are you dealing with the Liliana ultimate?
This is the most rock mirror I've ever seen.
It's just very...
As we lined up, Liliana's on both sides. Okay, but let's say that we get to ultimate our Liliana first. Oh my word!
Oh, Shieldred's Edict! Oh my word!
Huge top deck there. And now we've got we're looking at a Liliana potentially ultimating next turn. Not entirely sure if that's even the right play.
Yeah, but, I don't think it is. I don't think it is, because ultimately you would probably divide the piles like Trespasser and land versus 2 lands, and Jeremiah is going to keep the creature and try to ride it out. But there's
we ripped another Liliana off the top.
So now he can do it.
This is disgusting.
Yeah, it is disgusting indeed. Sol probably now trying to figure out the mind games involved. Like, hey, if I minus Liliana, like the ultimate, like how am I dividing this to get Jeremiah to keep the creature so that he can play Liliana and minus it to kill the creature and just leave Jeremiah with 1 land.
This is brutal. This is brutal. And then we're going to slam down another Liliana.
Minus. Look at
Jeremiah is distraught.
Look at that.
I'm not saying this is what you get for bringing a day-night token to the battlefield, but it's feeling pretty good if your name is Sol. Land, tick up, get rid of that card in your hand.
This is why Liliana is good in the post sideboard games, right? These sorts of swings, and you can see why Jeremiah discarded 1 with duress on turn 1, but Sol just drew 2 more. Now he also has a Bronco. He can also plus Liliana first, then map token.
It's a massacre. Yeah. Absolute massacre. And we're sequencing everything really well here as well. You're not cracking the map token before we use the Liliana. Leaving the other Bronco on top, which means another +1/+1 counter is generated. We're able to start crewing and going forward. Yeah, this is going great. Jeremiah's just got to pass the turn. It feels so bad. It feels bad.
Yeah,
So
plays the Bronco plus his Liliana, then attacks to get the card off Bronco. Sequencing is very, very simple once you have this sort of advantage. Oh, Geeks Command, why not? He'll
I
even put it away, but
thing
he's
is,
going to keep.
that's 5 damage as well, right? Because it was
Yeah,
revealed off a.
it's
Oh,
fine. It's fine. It goes face, but it doesn't really matter. I think just because Jeremiah is only on one land. To be fair, like he had 3, he would still wouldn't been able to do that many things here. But yeah, even finds now Geeks Command.
Eric's Gixes, which is going to be what? Return
Yeah.
encounters?
Counters. Yep. So
I think
are
the
you
life total is
conceding?
not 21, but here we
Yeah,
are.
no. It's definitely we probably had some issues with the life tools getting updated there, but just returns 2 creatures there.
Man, the value right now is it's crazy. Just rip after rip for Soul. Show him why
Yep.
he is a rock master. We're going to start flipping lands to hand and a glistener to hand, take another 3 points of damage. But of course, lifelink on that one Bronco currently because the Gix's command that was cast. It's going to regain 5 life points. I'm going to guess that we're around 10 damage. Oh, 10 life points left. So looks like we ripped our second land eventually, or 4th land in this matchup.
Yeah, this is brutal. And so I was like, yeah, I think swing for lethal. You're toast.
That hurt. It hurt to watch and commentate on just that Liliana, the back-to-back rips of the Edict effect into another Liliana on the turn that we could ultimate Liliana. Absolutely brutal. We're going to come back to the booth, though, because that is going to be the end of round number 2. But I believe that we have a giveaway happening this round for all you beautiful people at home, courtesy of Heavy Play. So I believe in the stream, you need to type the words Heavy Play, all one word, and that is going to put you in the chance of winning $5 store credit over at heavyplay.com. Remember, they are bringing you this coverage of the regional championships in North America. So huge shout out to them. The more support that they get, the more that we can have live paper magic. So if you enjoy it, make sure you go across to heavyplay.com, pick up some of these amazing accessories, maybe the ETB playmat, maybe you want some curved sleeves. They've got it all over there and in a range of amazing colors as well to boot. So on that one, keep typing Heavy Play. We're going to pick a winner after the break and we'll be back with round number 3. So stick around, don't go anywhere.